So this message of driving sales, why you need a CRM is not what you think it is. Well, there's a couple reasons you need a CRM today. Number one, you've got to have a system to process data. And so you might say, well, I don't need a CRM to do that. And you're right. And if you want to stay small, that is just you, or you and a team of under 3 people, then you could argue that a CRM is not necessary. But why you need a CRM, why you need to have this is because you no longer want to work alone. So if you want to move from solo to more to a lifestyle business that doesn't tax your life, then you need to have a way to process data, and we live in a digital world. So I don't know what you would use besides a CRM, right? Because you need the capability of a drive-in sales for speakers. So as a professional speaker, there is one profoundly large marketplace to be found as a speaker. It's called eSpeaker. And with minimal research, I discovered that if you have a presence on eSpeaker and someone Googles your name, I saw more speakers' eSpeaker profiles show up before their own website than others, right? So that means you ought to be listed on eSpeaker, number one. So that's the first thing, because different people use that resource, and if you say that your people don't, you're just admitting you're an idiot, because you think your thinking is bigger than the actual data set out there. And so if you want to fight it, I'll engage in the fight to prove it, as long as you are willing to admit defeat when I prove you wrong. Otherwise, let's just not have the fight. Let's just assume that the $149 a year is exactly what you need as a minimum. Okay, can we just agree to that? And we can save a lot of fight, a lot of time. By the way, if your time is worth more than $100 an hour, and it should be, then we concede the fight of $149 a year for eSpeakers, minimum requirement. Now you need to either decide to upgrade to the $85 a month eSpeaker package and commit to use that package to its full extent, or you have to commit to put your money into something else. So what I'm going to offer you is the something else. And the something else at a software price, I will make it $69 a month for you and you alone, to meet and exceed all the features of eSpeakers. That's a commodity. But if you want to maximize e-speaker software or my software, you're not gonna do it for less. You're not gonna do it. You're not gonna get away with having either of those technologies for less than $3,000 a month. And your mind's going, but the software's only 85. But you're gonna have to spend 20 to 30 to 40 hours a month, not a week, a month, in whatever system you decide you're going to use. Now, the truth is, e-speakers probably does do a lot, and it's consistent, but you're still going to have to invest the time, the energy, the effort, and the resources to get your data in, to keep your data up to date, and to follow through with forward-thinking activities that future-proof your income. That is to say, nurture leads so that they buy in the future. And what I can speak to is that you don't know how to use any tool to do that. And so every day you don't invest the time or the money, you're losing future dollars. You're spending today's dollars for a zero return on your investment. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, am I going to stop wasting money and start accelerating time? Let me know when you're ready to answer that question. Driving sales while Dominic drives. So we decided that you're going to invest in something, and it's going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And you might say, well, I don't want to spend that amount of money, or I can't afford that amount of money, or I think that's too much money, and all that stuff. Well, let's just, again, assume that our time's worth $100 an hour. And instead of arguing about it, let's just assume that you're spending the money now, either in today's dollars or in tomorrow's dollars, right? Because let's just decide that you're already spending that amount of money right now in future dollars that are gonna feel like work 2 years from now. That's how you know you're spending the money. And here's how I can prove it so we don't have to argue about it. You're not making any sales today from the leads or the conversations you had 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? Because if you were, it would have meant that you built a system that is working, and it has been working for the last 5 years. And if you don't have that working now, odds are you're not reaping the benefits from it. Which means until you get a system that does that, you won't reap the benefits either. You don't get the fruit until you plant the seed. Fair? So you don't have the garden, you don't have the seeds, and they're not planted and nothing's growing. All that's growing is weeds, and that's how you stay busy every day. You just keep digging up the weeds, and you're not harvesting the fruit. So let's get over that, right? Let's get past that. And you said, because you committed to invest. So now making the argument of why you should, well, to distinguish that you're paying something now, so that you don't argue with me when I ask you to pay me to build the thing that's going to pay you later. You're already paying. And so the only choice you have to make is, are you going to keep paying for what does not produce fruits in the future? Because that's what you're doing today. Or do you want to start paying for something that will produce fruit in the future? And if you decide to start paying, you can't stop paying. Or it's sort of like the Matrix. Once you take the blue pill or the red pill, whichever one makes you now know that there is a Matrix, going back, you can't undo what you already know. So every day you're not future-proofing your income, you're future-proofing your work effort. So if you decide you want to do that, then you have to decide that you have to understand that it actually costs you money either way. So you're not getting away with anything, you're not getting by on anything, you're not helping yourself unless you decide to spend it more intentionally. That's what you need to decide next. Driving Sales with Dominic. Hey, while I'm driving, I'm talking to you about sales. So you decided you need to have a system. You decided that you're going to have to pay. You're paying for that system now. You're just going to shift how you pay, what you pay, and maybe even who you pay for who you pay for to start building the system, right? So let me explain what you're going to have to pay for. And some of it, I have found that a lot of people want to pay someone else and avoid paying the tax themselves. So some of that money you're paying right now, you can pay other people to do the work for you. But some of it, you have to decide if you're going to invest some of that money with your own time and effort to build your own skills and knowledge so that you have a better understanding. And so what that means is, again, it's part of that work now investment so that you have value later. So here's the challenge, right? You could pay someone to do everything for you, and all you have to do is what you want. And you know what? That's a good option for some people. And matter of fact, that's my preferred option. And I would recommend that you do that. My prices start at $5,000 a month to do that, and what you get is the least amount of effort you have to put in to any other system than whatever you're using right now. So if you use email and text, all you have to pay is email and text, reading and responding to the emails and the text. That's all you have to do. Because you're paying off something else. And you have to accept the results that you get and the quality of the results and everything else, because it's being left up to someone else. And it's always going to be exciting in the beginning, and then your natural human tendency to want more or better or different is going to kick in, and you're gonna have to pay for those improvements with cash, and that's fine too. That's the preferred method. Because right now, the way that works in the speaking business is you pay 25% of your fee to a speakers bureau to act as your agent, and they do all the rest of the work, right? You still, I think, have to negotiate the deal finally, and if not with the end client, with the speakers bureau. So the preferred way to get it done is just start stroking checks, and know that it's going to take 6 months to a year because you're investing in your business. So it could be 6 months, a year, 18 months before you see a return on that $5,000 a month investment. But the return will be there because you're paying for that result, and you'll get the result you want. You'll start getting break even within 12 months, and then recoup in the next 6, and you're good to go. So if you're ready to make that decision, let me know. All right, well, you said $5,000 a month is too much. Okay, so you have a choice to go shop it, see if someone else will do it, and that's going to cost you $3,000 to $5,000 a month. To find somebody that's going to cost you less than $5,000 a month, and that's going to delay the return. That's going to delay all your returns. So now we're talking about buying time. Do you want to drive results now, or do you want to wait and do it later? I'll tell you from my own personal experience, it's been 25 years with no results because I wasn't willing to buy it down. I wanted to do it all myself. And I'm at the effect of, so you're at the effect of, how many years has it been that you've been working on this thing? And it hasn't, it's worked a little, worked a lot, worked a little, worked a lot, worked less, worked more, but you've really built nothing. You've built nothing that's producing. Therefore, you're in no better shape than you were when you started, because you really have built nothing that you can tap into that's producing for you. Now, I'm sure you have assets. I'm sure you have resources. I'm sure you have experience. I'm sure you have connections and networks. And that's producing everything it's producing now and nothing more. This conversation is about taking what you have, putting it in a system that not only drives results that you can quantify now, it's developing the practices, the behaviors, the disciplines, the interactions that are building results in the future. So if you want to go shopping, decide how long, it's fine, go decide how long you're going to shop. Like how much you're willing to spend shopping till you think you're going to find something else. Because what you're typically going to find is everybody's going to make you the same promise, and everybody's going to make you a better price. So then you have to wonder, will they deliver? Can they deliver? And I'm sure you'll finally find somebody who can. So what I would recommend you do is set up a budget, do what a good leader does, which is decide in advance when they're going to make a decision, what information they need to make that decision, and then do the best job they can to gather that information, and when the time to make the decision comes, make the decision. So when's your decision going to be? When are you going to decide how much time and effort at a minimum $100 an hour it's costing you to decide, and then how will you know if you found the right alternative, and will the person make the guarantee, and can you trust them to fulfill the guarantee? Or will the guarantee have some gotchas in it that say, well, I would guarantee give you your money back, but you didn't do these things to the standard that I didn't clearly identify up front. And the effort that I made that didn't produce results, I can now blame on you for not producing results. Therefore, you owe me for the effort. Because ultimately, that's what everybody has to get paid for, is their effort. And if you want other people to make the effort for you, you're going to have to pay for that. All right, when are you going to decide? Okay, so you decided that you're not going to pay me $5,000 a month to get started now and start building the system. What did you decide instead? All right, so let's say you're going to take 30 days and you're going to spend 50 hours. Now, 50 hours is about an hour and a half a day. 2 hours a day. Now, when I said calculate it, that's 5,000, right? Because the $5,000 a month divided by $100 an hour is 50 hours. So you're going to spend 50 hours researching sales system, CRMs, marketing systems, email copywriters, copywriters for my webpage, copywriters for my emails, copywriters for my Instagram, copywriters for my Facebook, copywriters. You're going to have to get, a copywriter may do it, but you probably need different copywriters. You're going to have a consultant help you with your ideal client prospect profile, targeting the search criteria to target those ideal clients. You're going to need to hire a data analyst to take all the data sources that you have right now, put them all into one format so that you can import them into one CRM. But then you have to decide which CRM. Do I go with something free? Do I go with something cheap? Do I go with something expensive? Do I go with something that has marketing capabilities, something that doesn't? If it doesn't have marketing capabilities, what am I going to get with marketing capabilities? If it has advertising capabilities, what am I going to get? What are those things I'm going to do? Do you have a marketing plan? Do you have a marketing strategy? Do you have a Dream 100? Are you going to find a consultant that's going to have all of those pieces and parts? And then who's going to manage the person that has to coordinate all of those pieces and parts, all of the pretty pictures, and orchestrate them to happen in the right time frame? Who is going to orchestrate, project manage it, put it all into place? You got 50 hours before you've lost $10,000. Why 10,000? You said it was 5. Yeah, but the 5,000 you spent is the cost to you. You also spent a month of time not moving forward. Your business is still stuck where it is today while you spend time researching it. And when you make that decision, you have to put a plan together to then, when are you going to start? You just decided who you're going to pick. And by the way, the person that you pick, you have to pick somebody that is ready to start the day you pick them. Otherwise, there's more delay and another $5,000 a month worth of time, because every month you don't have the system working is every month you're working again. So this work has to get done regardless, now or later. And I'm not even inflating the future cost, which is what it's going to be. So it's your money and it's your time. The only question is, what are you gonna do? So are you gonna do that 50 hours in 1 month? Or are you gonna do it in 2 months? How much time are you gonna waste? And I'd say waste in the most honest terms. Because starting the application process with me starts the seeding process for your future. Let me know what you decide. I'll be driving along the way. All right, we're driving sales with Dominic while driving. Dominic driving to help you drive sales. So look, you decide it's going to be a month, you're going to make a decision. Great. The month is going by, you made your decision, now when are you going to start? How are you going to start? Did the person you hire identify the right starting point? Because for me, I've started in the wrong spot on many things in my life. What I know needs to happen next is okay. If you found somebody else, good. If you didn't, great. Let's get started. This video is, now that you've decided to start, the first thing we have to decide is, what's your outcome? What's your vision? What do you want to build? Because we're building a system that's the work today is the result tomorrow. So what are the things you see for yourself? What do you want to be doing? How do you want to be doing it? And, you know, this is kind of, I know it should be something like, it's probably something like, if you're anything like a human, right? You want to do less work and make more money. And that's awesome. How much less work and how much more money? So what I'm really going to ask you to do is start writing out all of the things that you want to buy, all of the things you want to do, and all of the things you want to be. So your next step is to write down all the things you want to have in your life. That is buy, because I don't know how you're going to have something without buying it. So you might, and if it's, you know, well, I want to be gardening, then you don't want to be a gardener, so I want to do gardening, and I need to have time to garden. So what's that amount of time that you want to have? So you're going to buy time. And do you want to buy, think about it, think of it in increments of a day, like a general work day and a general not other day, whatever that is. And you can decide the different kinds of work you want. Like, so some of your work might be traveling to work, because if you're a professional speaker or consultant and you're going to travel to your clients, how much of that are you going to do? Right? So, how many of those days do you want to work in a week? So work out the days, the types of days you want to have, the types of, the number of those days you're willing to have in a week. And look, I would think as rich as you can imagine, think to that limit. So if your perfect day includes, you got your perfect work days, you got your perfect rest days, your perfect recovery days, maybe that's the same, rest and recovery, R&R days, and then your other relationship days. So let's do the 3 R's, right? W, work, rest, relationship days. And the relationship days are days that, however you want to classify them. So what does a day of work look like? And then, and then what are you going to be doing in those days? And what persona are you being in those days? So think about that. That's your first step, your outcome. What's that going to look like? I'm going to keep driving. Dominic is driving while driving your sales. I'm driving. Are you driving? We're driving sales. What are we selling? To who? First, I'm selling you on the system that's going to produce a result that satisfies you. Now, I know, like, it won't satisfy you forever, but I'll do my best, right? We'll do our best to get it started, and we'll work something out. We'll keep it working, right? And I didn't, I'm a man. I didn't, all right. So, closing this. Driving sales with Dominic while we're driving. Those are real cars moving in the background. That's a real vision that you created for yourself. So now I want you to really think about it. Okay, let it set in. How important, what would it mean? Now, here's the other thing, right? So that's an outcome. Let's call that the outcome. That's the product we're trying to produce. But it's not good enough. It's not, because who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares about your easy life? That was me dealing with traffic. Who cares? It ought to be at least one person, and it ain't me in this conversation. What would it mean to you if you got your outcome? Okay? All right, good. Now, I'm not done. I got 3 more questions. What would it mean to you? What would it mean if you didn't get your outcome? That is to say, think about it. What would happen if you reach your outcome? What would happen if you didn't reach your outcome? And what would that mean to you? Right? So that's really the question. Now there's 2 more questions that are going to sound the same and weirdly different. weirdly the same. They're going to sound kind of the same, but weirdly different. What wouldn't it mean if you got your outcome? What wouldn't it mean if you reach your outcome? So sometimes you have to think about that, like, well, if I reach my outcome, it wouldn't mean that I'm a loser. It wouldn't mean that I'm a failure. It wouldn't mean that I wasted my time and money. It wouldn't mean those things. So identify what it wouldn't mean if you got your outcome. Now the last question, that was the third one, right? That was a little weird. Is that the same? It's really not the same as what it means if you didn't get your outcome, but there may be some overlap. What we're doing is we're trying to fully distinguish the ecosystem in your head, the weights and balances. The final question is, what wouldn't it mean if you didn't get your outcome? What wouldn't it mean if you didn't get your outcome? And sometimes you may want to go with those two questions. What would happen if you didn't get your outcome? And what wouldn't happen if you didn't get your outcome? So this is a paradigm shifting exercise. So what you can start with, what would happen if you got your outcome? What would happen if you didn't get your outcome? What wouldn't happen if you got your outcome? What wouldn't happen if you didn't get your outcome? And then what would it mean about you, about life, about the business, about the outcome, about the people, if you got your outcome? What wouldn't it mean about you, your life, the people? Deepen it that way. What wouldn't it mean if you got your outcome? About life, people, the world, yourself, others. What wouldn't it mean if you didn't get your outcome? About you, about others, about the outcome. Take some time on that to get clear on your outcome. Driving Sales with Dominic. We know your outcome. We know what would happen if you got it or if you didn't got it. And we know what it means to you in all the dynamics. Now we've revealed a lot about you and your relationship to that outcome. We already know that you're committed because you're investing time and money for a reason. And we're going to hone in on that reason. Why is this important to you? Why are you spending the amount of money that it takes for an individual to be part of the top 1% income earners in the world, not America, but the world? Why are you investing in an idea, in a platform, in a person, in a company to help you get to that outcome? Why? And don't settle for, oh, because I want that outcome and Dominic's we're going to make it happen so easy. It's going to happen easy. It's not going to be easy. None of this is easy. All of it takes commitment. You demonstrated the commitment. We established the value of your commitment so that you knew this was worth it for you to put in the time and effort. This isn't a push button, make happen, fantasy world, bullshit kind of fucking sale that I made. This is you stepping up to the plate to put in the work to get the result so that you can say all that shit you just distinguished as important. Why is it important? What wound do you think you'll heal? What desire do you think you'll fulfill? What hope will come true? What fear will go away. Why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? And if you answer that question, then my next question is, why is that important to you? What's important about that? What does it mean to you if that happens? What does it mean to you if it doesn't? See, it's going to take more work and effort than you think. You know how I know that? Because I know it's going to take more work and effort than I think. The question is, are you going to stick to it? Or are you going to ring the bell? Ringing the bell is what Navy SEALs do. And if you haven't seen a movie about Navy SEALs and how they ring the bell, then go watch G.I. Jane. Yeah, came out in the 90s. It was pretty awesome. And it gives you a sense of what we're doing here. See, you made the commitment for $5,000 and you made the commitment for a year so that two things would happen. One, you would raise this to the priority that you hadn't raised it to before in your life. And two, you now know why you're doing it so that you're not going to quit. Because I'm not going to stop collecting the money. I'm doing this for you so that you do the work you haven't done before. So that you get into build the systems and understand the systems you're building so that you're future-proofing your life. Yeah, you are I'm the catalyst, not the creep who's on the hook for this. I'm on the hook to make sure you don't wiggle off the hook that you've been wiggling off all these years. So you could call me a hooker, and I'll take that every month. All right, answer the whys and go down until you really got the one that matters most. Driving your sales with Dominic. Yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough one to get really clear on why you're doing this. And you damn well, and this is early enough in the process that if you're clear it's not going to work and you're not committed and you're not sticking around for at least a year with me, because it takes a year to build this and you hadn't done it before, so you're paying the price now. This is the same equation why you don't have if you're over 40 and you don't have $1 million in invested money, it's because you didn't start when you were 20, investing $200 a month. I started when I was 20, and I'm over 40, and I don't have $1 million because I blew it along the way. So, the question is, are you sure you're ready? Because this is the one and only opportunity that I'm giving you to quit. Because you've done enough work now that you ought to be very clear that this ain't no fucking game. I'm not fucking around because you should be paying, and if it's not enough money, then I will raise my rates for you. If I need to raise my rates, let me know. I'm happy to do it. Not for me, for you. So that you produce the result. If the stakes aren't high enough, if the game isn't big enough, if the fuck's not there to give, then make it that way. What has to happen for you to know that this is it? Because this ain't no fuck around, wait till the next day kind of program. This is the next year, not for the year, but for the decade. Right? And by the way, this program will produce the results. because that's the intention of the program, which means we're not going to give up our mission until we achieve it. The Marine Corps doesn't tout themselves as the few and the proud because they made all the easy missions. They handled all the jobs that, they were able to get done in a certain time frame. They fought the war and every battle in it to the best of their ability until the war was over, until the outcome was achieved. Politics aside. Every life matters. So does yours. And if in your reasons it isn't the impact, look, it isn't the impact you're giving to other people in the world, because let's face it, you've already made it compared to 99% of the world. 99 plus some other percentages. You've already made it as a winner in the economic game. Okay? So, we're playing a different game. You're already winning. It's so easy to win that game in America. We forgot there's a bigger game we can play. So if you're playing that game and it's big enough for you to stay committed, great. This is your chance to back out and know what you're selling out on this time. You should know what you're giving up on. You should know what you're buying for your future. Right now is the clearest you'll ever be. So the question is, are you in or are you out? If you're out, I hope this was valuable to you. I'm happy to give you your money back because I don't want you fucking up my statistics. I only want winners. Are you winning or are you quitting? Let me know. All right, well, it's 5-6 hours later. I just did a sweat lodge. Woo! And I'm back talking to you while I still got daylight in my videos. And if you're in this spot, you just got clear that you're committed. So you got 2 out of 5 ingredients needed to move forward. You know what is most important to you, and you know why it's most important. Oh, that was all jacked up. It didn't feel right for a reason. It was all jacked up. And you said you're committed. So I just want to address that. In this process, commitment comes first. Knowing why and what is most important to you will support that commitment. And now, what's going to show up is between this commitment and the fulfillment is going to be everything that supports or distracts you from your commitment. Now, if for you to be clear, about your sacrifice, now you know you're sacrificing. So the third step is sacrifice. And the definition of sacrifice means giving up something of value for something with a more pressing need. And in the process, in engaging in this process, everything that supports your commitment is at the cost of something that distracts you from your commitment. And part of the game is going to be paying attention to the things you know that you can avoid, the things you discover that you're struggling to avoid, the things that are easy to avoid, and then the things that there is to do. Now the fourth part of that equation is discipline. So you know what's most important. You make a commitment. You accept a sacrifice. Something's going to have to be sacrificed. You're not doing it without cost, right? But you're doing that cost because you have a big enough reason why and what it means to you in order to achieve or not achieve your outcome, or just engage in the process. It's going to take a discipline. I don't mean that I don't mean consistency as an outcome of good habits and all that. I mean discipline, something you're going to do or something you're going to avoid doing. We're going to do all the things we know to do, and we're going to discover things that we should never do, we need to stop doing, continue doing, or start doing. And in that, you're going to discover everything that works to produce the results you're committed to, or discover things you're doing that produce results you're not committed to, so you know when to stop. So we're going to be open. You're going to need to be open and create a mindset of learning. And that learning is doing what you say you're going to do, no matter what, and discovering if that behavior produces the results that move us in the direction we want to go. That's it. Really simple discernment, right? Is this working or not working? And if the last and final piece of the puzzle is going to be accountability. And I'm going to support you in being accountable, that is, accounting of your behaviors. And the accounting of whether you follow behaviors or not, do something different. And reflecting on which behaviors are producing the result you want. Because ultimately, it's all got to be discovered. And there's no answer now, because what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. But we'll try today. So, you know what's important. Committed. Sacrifice is going to be involved, always. Pay attention to sacrifice. Make sure you're giving up now so that you can have later. And don't give things up now that you need now so that you continue to do the work so you have the things you want later. Figure all that out. Commitment, sacrifice, discipline, and accountability. Discipline are the things you do and don't do. That's it for now. Unlock the code to achieving what's most important in your life. Okay. So we did all that to do the next thing, which is now that you know your outcome, what are you going to give the world in exchange for that outcome? And so this comes down to who you are, and what your offer is. So your offer needs to be crafted using, I'm going to offer that you use the inspired method, that your offer is irresistible, that it's too good for your ideal client, ideal customer to say no to. So what are you selling? Right? What's your offer? What are you selling? And how you package it, how you position it, how you present it, all of those are going to be a function of discovery, testing. And the first level of market research that we're going to do is the warmest part of your, they may not be at the bottom of your funnel, but they'll be the warmest, easiest people to get in touch with. This is your address book, right? This is where we go and talk to those that are as close to you. This is everybody that answers the phone when you call. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to call them up and say, hey, I'm doing this thing. And I want to get your opinion. And then I'm going to ask you about help. So, who do you know, or who do you think would benefit from my thing? Hey, I need your opinion. Who do you think would benefit from my thing? What do you think I should say to them about the thing? What do you think of my thing? Do you know anybody that this thing might be appropriate for? And then, if they're your friends, ask them. Say, okay, you think Blake would like it? Why, Blake? What do you think Blake would like about it? What do you think Blake would hate about it? Why do you think Blake came to mind? What do you like most about Blake? And where do you think Blake and I would get along? How do you think I would be helping Blake? See, those are conversations you're having. Great. That sounds awesome. When can you help introduce me? When can you introduce me to Blake? Not will you. When can you? When will you? Not will, but when will you introduce me to Blake? Well, when I see him. Great. When do you think you'll see him next? How often do you talk to him? Because here's what I'm doing. I would like to talk to everybody I know about who they know in the next 30 days so that I can get moving on the market research I'm doing. So, would you be willing to send Blake an email right now and introduce him by email to me? Would you do that? Awesome. And if you did that, I'm not saying do it just yet, but if you did it, do you want to be included in the conversation? Yes or no? Great, I'll include you. Make it a great day. Go do that with everybody you know in your address book, in your phone right now. You got them in your phone book for a reason. Yeah, they're already in alphabetical order, so you already have the list. Do it. Okay, you should only be watching. We're driving sales with Dominic while driving. So, in order to listen to this call, you should have entered at least 10 calls to get to this spot. And what did you learn? What did you learn about the people that are in your address book? What did you learn about the 10 you called? What did you learn about how it felt on the first call versus the 10th call, or the 20th call, or the 50th call, depending on how many calls you actually made? 10's the minimum to get to this call. So when you made the calls, did you get better on the last call? Are you worse or about the same? Great. So this was 1/10 of the effort that you need to make I gotta get in the right lane to start your business, start your project. Did you make 10 calls? Great. Keep making 10 calls and keep reflecting on what's working and what's not working. And don't do anything different until you get to 100 calls. Because here's the reason. You don't actually know what's working or not working yet. You think you know. You may have gotten good results. I don't care. The goal is to make the calls. Have the 100 conversations first. If you have the 100 conversations first, then you'll have a good idea, an easy math equation is to jot down the results of each call. And if I'll set you up in the CRM, you can note your results. But after the 100 calls, you should have a variety of results. People that wanted your service directly from you, that you asked about something else that they wanted to buy. You asked about something else they didn't want to buy, but they referred you to somebody. They didn't buy and they didn't refer you, right? It's the worst. And then the last group of people ought to be the ones who you haven't talked to yet. So after you're done talking with people, you're going to end up with 3 categories. They bought, they didn't buy, they referred, they didn't buy, and they didn't refer, and those that you didn't talk to yet. So the goal now is to follow up with all the people that you did get a referral from, and follow up with all the people you didn't get a referral from, and keep calling the people you haven't talked to yet. So now you actually have 3 times the work. So this is the part where you start to understand, oh, I'm now segmenting my list based on the conversation that I'm having with them. I want to separate those lists so I'm clear about my inventory. Watch the next video to find out what to do next. To drive sales while driving. Driving sales with Dominic while driving. Hey, so the question right now is just like, how's it going? And what ought to be coming up for you is one of several things. One, like, holy shit, I haven't done this before. This is awesome. Holy shit, now I remember why I used to do this. But holy shit, I'm still not doing this. Or this sucks. Right? It's either awesome or it sucks or somewhere in between, right? So, what do you need to do different? What do you need to do different? Or what are you doing that's, you need to do something different, right? Because you couldn't have run out of all your people yet that are in your address book. Like literally everybody in your address book gets a call. And if you're like most people who've been in sales or something like sales or something, you probably have close to 500 people in your address book. Or you're young, you don't have that many people. Okay, well, get to it, because now your number should actually be growing with every call. Who's left to call you? Because in every call, you're asking for a referral. And if you're not asking for a referral, ask yourself, why not? At some point, your list diminishes to zero. And then you've got no one to call. But if your list is constantly growing by 5 people, then you're really never going to run out of people to call. So an evergreen funnel of leads lives right in the palm of your hand every day. You just got to follow up with it.